All right, we're going to start.
We're going to hear from Ray.
Great editorial. All right, so time to begin. Let's have that moment of silence now, please. Moment of silence.
The year is 1887, and this is, of course, the 50th year of Guilford as an institution, because it was first established as a boarding school, not as a college. But in 1887, the transition occurred from boarding school to college. And at that time already, the hot action as far as clubs went in the 1880s were literary societies. And these were groups of folks who would get together and entertain themselves by making speeches, by writing papers, by debating. And of them, certainly the most famous was the Brightonian. The Brightonian Society was named for John Bright, who was a famous member of Parliament, a Quaker who was apparently very oratorically gifted. And this was the most prestigious group then, the Brightonians. And I believe it was in December then of 1887 when the Brightonians met, and they met to discuss a proposal by one of the members whose name was Robert Root, R-O-O-T, which is very appropriate given that we're talking about the roots of the Guilfordian. He delivered this presentation on the subject, "Shall Guilford College Have a Paper?" And so this was apparently well received by the Brightonians. And as always happens, and of course this is a life lesson for everybody, if you're the one to make a proposal, you're the one that's going to get to do the work. And so they essentially made him the first editor-in-chief of what was then called the Guilford Collegian. And the Guilford Collegian then lasted several years up until 1914. And it was in 1914, coincidentally, of course, the year of the outbreak of the Great War, World War I. At that point, it converted from a monthly that essentially was a sort of a community magazine, really, that mostly faculty and even trustee members would write for, but also students. It changed from that to a real bona fide student newspaper that came out on a weekly basis. So, 1914 is when the Guilfordian began, and it has been running steadily ever since. Every year is a volume year. You know, a volume is all of the issues from that year. And so we are currently in volume year 98, which means that in 2 years, when 2014 comes up, we're going to be celebrating our 100th anniversary. So that's essentially, in broad outline, the history of the Guilfordian.
All right, good. Let's see.
Back up.
Oh, hey, we're going to begin with some good news. Woo! Good news. We have two among us.
So, Sunday is when my week starts, or actually, I guess technically Saturday is when my week starts for the Guilfordian. I send out an empty pitch list to the editorial board, which then the section editors and the photographer, or the photo editor, like fill out with their pitches for the week. Then on Sunday night, I send out that pitch list to the entire staff. I think my list right now is at like 120 people. So I send out a pretty big email.
Monday is a huge day. We have the Guilfordian practicum, and then we have an ed board meeting, and then we have a general staff meeting on top of that. So Monday, excuse me, is a lot of people getting together and connecting.
I just think that she really relates really well with kind of a nostalgic, a teenager growing up into a senior, and trying to put the administration's points into some kind of logical perspective or in different language.
I feel like this is a really good example of, can't remember the term you used, last week. He talked about how someone would give an argument and then break down that argument and prove why it was wrong. Yeah! I feel like this is a really good example of that. Thank you.
Maybe one issue that productively got discussed in your group, something that you talked about. And also, I would like to hear something about the issue as well. Something, just name it and we'll move on because we only have a couple of minutes. So we'll start over here.
We came to consensus that the photo credits would be shared, saying photo by Tom, graphic by Ben. And we can make up aliases for the Guilfordian picture, so that'll be fun.
It would be cool to go over that and look at it and see what errors are being made commonly.
We're trying to track it down now, actually. Do you know where it is?
The common errors, Chief?
Yeah, the new one.
I think I've got a copy of it.
We talked about having a Google Doc where we all put in the logins that we have to various different like social media things or different programs, so that different people can start working on the same projects, like the Facebook pages and uploading things, and maybe even having just like a universal login.
So that's exciting.
It seems like it's not more of my writers, it's just a few of the same of my writers are having a lot of trouble with people getting back to them.
I was really excited about laying out the paper, articles, putting stuff on web, but a lot of being EIC or editor-in-chief is about, talking to people, managing people that are having, difficulties, making sure that everyone's comfortable and happy and satisfied with their work on the paper.
Yeah, but Justin turned in like a pretty
It was a really decent article.
But it was really late.
Yeah.
So.
Which makes it difficult for everyone a little bit. But I mean, he had some great sources in it. It was a really solid piece.
Right.
So I mean, I'm not really disappointed with it. It was just a little bit stressful.
It's incredibly late.
Yeah. I mean, Tuesday.
If it had been less than okay, I hope that you would have felt fine with just.
Yeah. I mean, I told him already that it might not get printed because of how late it was. But I mean, it's just me.
And we like to recognize people that do. And there's one person I want to particularly recognize this week for having done that. And it's Justin, who is beginning to make a career out of it and being an example for the rest of us in doing so. And the particular person that he contacted in this story about child brides and the problems of that, he scored an interview with Nahid Bahram, who is the program manager of the New York group Women for Afghan Women. It's really a startlingly good source for this article. So for that, Justin, for the benefit of everybody else, how did you come upon that particular source?
I actually basically just Googled the topic, and it was one of the first things that came up, and so I just figured I might as well email them whether or not I get a response.
And you did. So, great. Okay, I think we have.
Well, A, I want to be a news writer. I want to be able to write news. B, it's a passion. I mean, people collect stamps. People, LARP in the yard. Mine was writing. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to learn how to be a very good writer.
Or your Gilco Sojo Modern Foreclosures. Very well done. So. All for you, Victor.
Feel free to see the editors to take stories. Okay, thanks guys. Have a good night.
It takes like 8 credits worth.
Oh my gosh, just 30.
Basically, I try to start it on Tuesday night, but usually that doesn't happen. So usually Wednesday around 6-ish, I'll pull up a Google Doc
and just start going. And basically I have them all in tabs, and so I have my Google Doc and then like a world and nation story, and I'll just go back and forth and copy and paste what needs to be changed. And that, I think the quickest I've ever done a potpourri was once when I wasn't able to start until 11:30 or 12 because I couldn't get internet. I did it in like 3 hours. And there were so many mistakes in the final version, it was really bad, so I try to spend at least 6 hours. Basically, the potpourri is just a long Google document of edits that I make to the paper. And it's sort of set up like I will copy and paste a sentence, and I try not to do like half a sentence. I'll copy and paste the whole sentence. And then in parentheses afterwards say, remove the comma here or add an em dash or whatever. And just do that for every single article. And so I label them according to which article, and yeah, that's it.
But most of our work for layout happens on a Tuesday night and a Wednesday night. And so we're there for a while on Tuesday nights, getting everything going. And then Wednesday, we're in it for the long haul. And that's kind of when we just marathon out the issue until we finish.
I was gonna bite your face. Not in real life.
Addressed by student.
I need to talk to you about how much things cost and stuff like that.
Student responses. This is the students with administration responses. So it's like two separate. I'm studying art history, and so I'm always interested in, you know, how visuals can convey a message. You know, visuals in a publication, I think, is just like almost as important as the actual words and content.
Okay,
and then now go and delete it.
Yes.
Oh, see.
No, you're correct.
Okay.
You are correct.
No.
And then now hit back one more time and then do it. Yeah. I know it's really hard to see, but there's this,
yeah,
like,
the ones.
there's
No, yeah,
a space there, and that's why
those.
it's doing it.
I
Yeah.
do remember,
Those are
now
the
that
worst.
you've said it, I feel silly for not knowing it.
It's an option. We'll say it's an option.
Joy said she could be here in 20 minutes. Do you want to wait and talk to her, or would you rather talk to her tomorrow?
I can talk to her in class tomorrow.
Okay.
And that'll give her more time. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Hit them hard.
No, and then you bring back Barry Switzer and have him on the same staff.
Who the hell is that?
Remember the coach of the Cowboys in the 90s after they forced out Jimmy Johnson? And he coached in the NFL because he got kicked out of college coaching because all his players were on drugs and shit and he didn't care.
That sounds great.
Barry Switzer was a great person.
It was a fun time.
Rather than
I'll make some signs. Even though I can't go, I'll make some signs for people to take.
Make more ones with dirty words like tit or penis.
Penis. People expecting new innovations in socialism. I'm good at the dirty ones.
A lot of layout nights we work until 2 or 3 in the morning. Sometimes, I mean, it's happened very rarely that we've actually worked until like 5 or 6 in the morning. And, you know, once the clock gets on the opposite side of midnight, just funny things start to happen. I just have a lot of really good memories of staying up late and, you know, being really productive and creating, or being with people that are creating these amazing pages.
Thank you for getting the distraction out of the room. I'll give you money later. I'm in section. Okay, I'm good. Well, that's the magic that happens at 12 midnight. So.
Really bad.
What you're going to have to do if you're going to do that is shrink it a bit.
Yeah, the thing is, it's already pixelated.
Yeah. I'm gonna go.
You guys, take notice of this. This is all we have left to do, okay? We're like so close.
Oh,
we're so close.
Far. I feel a little bit bad.
Well, let's see.
If we really just
want that. Blah.
Apparently, you can't have all the files.
No, I cannot have all the files.
That's important.
No. I know that I can't take classes at certain times or on certain days just because I know I have to be working on layout at that time, and you know, my personal eating schedule, my sleep schedule, it's completely around the Guilfordian and layout. So it does rule my life.
Okay, so we just finished 7, and I just finished the front page.
We found one finished Guilfordian. Okay.
Oh, let's go home.
I've been waiting for those words all night, Amanda.
Thursday I come in and do like final edits, final layout stuff, and then I send the paper to Stone Publishing, usually around like 1 or 1:30.
What about Obama's? Oh whoa, this one's kind of cool.
What about Obama's? Is that Obama's?
No.
I feel like in general just caring for the well-being of the paper and making sure that it comes out every week, that's my biggest fear, is that it won't come out some Friday.
It looks fine.
Yeah, it looks
You're getting like
Amanda! I feel like you're mad at me.
I'm not mad at you.
I feel like you're mad at me because I didn't come last night.
What? No! Absolutely not. Guys, you're being videoed right now. Wait!
Okay.
Because everyone just becomes so close. Like, when you are working with someone that many hours a week and you just see them all the time, and that's the people that you're texting constantly, and that's the people that you're talking to, and like, you sort of bond over things like late articles or like bad writers. And so, I mean, yeah, you become really good friends, and so I think I sort of see them as my friend group, really.
And I received a letter, hand-delivered, from an Indian man.
Aww.
Addressed to Guilfordian
Read
people.
it, read it, read it, read it. Read it
Oh.
out loud.
Dear Guilford's Guilfordian, how's it going back in the US of A? Life here is pretty darn good. The place I am volunteering at is called Presma Vasam. In Tamil it means love resides. It is a home for the mentally and physically challenged and less fortunate children. My day includes feeding children with my hands and playing with those able to walk. I sometimes help with the physiotherapy department too. I have not been to the temple on this card. It looks awesome though. More to come. P.S. I might photo for a newspaper here.
Oh,
Naomi.
Oh, put it up.